Let's all scream. Let's all scream. Scream, scream, let's all scream.
Hi everyone and welcome to Let's All Scream. I'm Shehlaa Ali.
And I'm Saleh Al Braik.
And I'm Hassan Al Marashi.
And this is our 8th episode. How are you guys?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing good as well. We're still recording together, so as long as that's possible, I think.
That makes it all better.
Yeah, it does.
I appreciate recording all together in one place, in person, much more than I used to.
Yeah. How's Ramadan with you guys?
I've found it okay in terms of like I said last week, the eating and drinking is fine. It's the sleep. And now with a baby, like I really took sleep for granted before. And oh my God, it's just been insane.
Speaking of, you guys this is your first Ramadan experiencing as parents of a newborn. So how is that?
It's crazy because, our schedule changes with fasting, but hers has to stay the same because we don't want to break her routine.
Yeah, and so we basically just go with her schedule. Mm-hmm. And it's actually, as I'm speaking right now, I'm very sleep deprived and I cannot wait to go to bed. But yeah, I think like Hassan said, it's the sleep deprivation that is really affecting me. And I'm sure as well Hassan.
Yeah,
I think that's the main thing. Like people don't take into consideration or don't assume while you're fasting. People think, oh, it's the food or it's the drink aspect, but it's actually the sleep. I think everyone's sleeping patterns go haywire.
Yeah.
Because for those who don't know or those who don't fast or are not part of this culture. Usually when you break your fast at sunset, that's when kind of the city comes alive, or like your batteries kind of come alive.
Yeah.
I know most people, especially during the weekends, they're just trying to catch up on sleep during the day, especially because they're fasting. So they're trying to kind of sleep it out or try to take things easy. But then as soon as, obviously, if you think about it, if you're breaking your fast, you get all that energy. Your batteries kind of want to switch on. So people want to stay up. And so sometimes we do try to stay up. You end up sleeping at like 3 a.m. and then the next day and then it becomes kind of like a snowball effect because every day you kind of just ruin your sleeping pattern even more, and then you have no sleeping pattern.
And the thing is, you want to stay up as well because you want to try and have 2 meals, the second meal to carry you over
to the next
day. Or at least drink as much water as you can.
I have a cousin who told me, oh, I'm not sleeping as well. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's like, oh, yeah, because I'm watching shows. And I just, through the phone, I gave her a glare. And I'm just like, no, that is not fair.
Oh, yeah, no, someone actually told me the other day, I was like, oh, I actually, wait, not someone. I just remembered it was Hassan. Today he was telling us, today when we were breaking our fast together, Hassan was saying, oh, I'm so exhausted. I didn't have a proper sleep last night. And me being all like naive and innocent, and I'm like, oh, was it the baby? And he goes, actually, I slept late because I was watching TV. And then I was like, oh.
But I must say that was like the only night. Like yesterday, I remember I was in bed and I'm just like, I wake up and I see him awake and I'm like, are you still awake? And he's like, yeah, but like I'm watching a show. I'm like, okay, you know what? He usually the moment he goes to bed, he's out.
Yeah.
So I feel like either it was a good show or he just wasn't sleepy.
It was a fascinating show. But the reason is because we're in this routine where during the day we're so busy with the baby. At night, you want to have kind of your own time and entertain yourself in some way. So it's either playing video games or watching TV for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely regretted it the next day, and I paid for it heavily.
He literally, because it was his turn to take the baby for so basically in the morning we usually have like a 2-hour rotation just so that we can survive, because otherwise I don't think we would be able to. So
basically one day Shehlaa lets me sleep in and one day I let her sleep in.
The most it usually goes to is like 9 o'clock 10 o'clock a.m. But this morning he took her and then I went back to sleep, and then I woke up as usual, and he actually was like, okay, I'm gonna nap for a bit. I was like, yeah, sure, fine. And then by the time you came and had just woken up, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay.
and for people who don't know, that was in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean he's sleeping? It's 2 p.m.
Yeah. But I think it was because of the staying up last night.
Yeah, I can
But
imagine.
But yeah.
So that's our Ramadan. How is it going for you?
I think it's going well, alhamdulillah. Like again, it's a different Ramadan. Doesn't mean it's a bad one. I'm thankful that I have people around me. I do have extended family around me. There's very much the connection going on when it's an emotional connection.
Yeah.
I asked myself that in this Ramadan I want to finish the Quran, so I'm doing that as well. I'm keeping track. Work has been really considerate with the timings and shortening of our
Yeah.
timings and letting us have flexible timings depending on, some people have later nights like we just discussed. So far so good.
Okay.
But definitely missing my direct family, so my parents
Yeah.
during Ramadan. Having a Ramadan without my mom and dad is a bit weird.
Yeah.
And so I think that is one of the things that still I think about on a daily.
Yeah.
But no, alhamdulillah.
Even seeing her today, when we called her, it was like, because she's usually here,
Yeah.
So we usually see her during iftar,
Yeah.
or we see her during, like, when we come to your gatherings or something. So like, when I was able to see her, it actually put it into perspective how long it's been since I've seen her,
Yeah.
and it actually made me think, oh my God, I haven't interacted with
Yeah.
with the rest of the family in such a long time.
Yeah.
But on the bright side,
Yeah.
If there can be a bright side, I think for us, because we're new to having a baby during Ramadan,
Yeah.
it's kind of taken the pressure off because we don't have to think about going to gatherings and adjusting her sleep schedule.
Yeah.
And so that, in a way, that has been a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think I would be able to survive going to suhoor gatherings.
Or even iftar, and like having
Yeah,
that, because her bedtime is 8:00, and
Yeah.
you pretty much eat at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like
So-
for us, it's literally I eat. As I'm eating, I feed her. Or sometimes I like switch it between. So I quickly feed her and then I eat. And then I quickly take her to shower.
And then put her to bed.
bed.
I don't know why, but Aladdin's A Whole New World is playing in my head right now for the both of you. It's like literally an entirely new world when it comes to Ramadan and what you guys thought it
it's a
was.
whole new
It's a whole new
experience.
world, but like with explosions going off and like a catastrophe.
Running,
It's
screaming.
it's not as like fun as
Hey,
a whole new world.
I'm happy because I assumed, because for our listeners, I come over very often when to Hassan and Shehla's house, so the baby always sees me and she knows me, but I was worried that whilst in the lockdown that she might have forgotten me, so I'm just glad that she didn't, because as soon as I walked back, I think there was an hour where she was a bit uneasy, and then
but
she
then
remembered.
She took to you
Yeah.
straight away.
And then by the end of the night, khalas, she was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, for today, we actually wanted to talk about a different subject. I know last time we talked about Ramadan and how everyone's Ramadans have been, but for this episode, we were actually hoping to talk about bullying. So I actually wanted to open the subject up to you guys. What do you define as bullying, and how do you see it?
I think for me, bullying is whenever a person makes another person feel less than in some way or inadequate, or pressures them into doing something that they wouldn't otherwise do.
Yeah, I
okay.
feel on top of, I agree with what Hassan said. I also
Yeah.
think bullying is a reflection, a deflection of
Okay.
insecurities. That's what I feel. I feel like
Yeah.
a bully
Yeah.
deflects whether they have their own insecurities or their own battles that they're
Yeah.
facing, and they cannot cope with it. So they, there's a saying where when someone tries to bring you down, it's because they are down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're trying to bring you down to that level. Not to say that they are lower than you,
Yeah.
but in terms of just feeling self-hate or their self-worth is
Yeah.
very low. So they want others to also feel the same and feel that pain because that's the only way they know how. So I feel, on top of what Hassan said, I think it's also a deflection of insecurities.
Yeah, there's that that phrase, hurt people, hurt
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
For me, I think with exactly what you guys are saying is, I think bullying is also when someone, it doesn't even have to be to make someone want to do something that they don't want to do, or anything like that. But it can even be as simple as bringing someone down for no reason at all. So just again,
As in, that's like their nature in a way.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's another way I would describe
Yeah.
bullying.
I think when we talk about bullying, there are so many different aspects of it, or
Yeah.
Different
Types.
forms. Something that comes to mind when you talk about bullying to me is cyberbullying. There are so many. I've been. I don't like to use the word victim, so I'm not going to use that. But I've been the subject of cyberbullying, and
Yeah.
I've seen those I love be subjects of cyberbullying. And
Yeah.
I think we've all seen cyberbullying happen to people
Someone,
around the world. I
yeah.
mean, there's always,
Yeah.
you get to see that in our world, here in the Arab world, or abroad. But for me, cyberbullying, if I were to touch on the subject, basically, I think it's become so easy for people to throw judgment or throw words at people behind a screen.
Yeah.
Before,
Yeah.
we weren't as connected as we
Yeah.
are today. And so now, because you don't know people very well. You might see someone who's on the other side of the planet. You don't know them. You don't know their story.
Yeah.
You don't know what they've been through, and you just see that one glimpse of their life
That they show you.
that they showed you, and then
Yeah.
you feel like you can throw something or like a word out there in judgment, and that is something I see every day and has happened to me, which I feel is a form of bullying and comes from something that reflects on the person more than it says about myself.
And do you
Yeah.
think that's because you're somewhat of a public person, or like a social media influencer, or do you think you would have been subject to it regardless?
I think both ways. What do I mean by that? Is because of the number of, I would say, people, the
Yeah.
audience that I have,
Yeah.
I get to be seen more. So
Yeah.
obviously,
Right.
the more people that engage with you, the more
There's
that
more
you're
interaction
you're
and-
into
Yeah.
more interaction. So the more people get to know you. So therefore, you're widening the pool of people that can access your accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I feel it also depends on just
What content you
what
put in?
content you're putting.
Yeah.
And the issue that I face is, or I have faced, is I've always been kind of, I guess, ridiculed for portraying or having this perfect life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. For me, my main platform that I use is Instagram. That's how I connect with my loved ones, and even on Instagram, I that's how I connect to the entire world.
Yeah.
What I always call my Instagram is my own like photo gallery of my life
Yeah.
and
I
things
think
that
it's like your outlet.
Yeah.
It
It
is
is.
your
Because
expressive.
I don't see it. Sorry, Hassan, I cut you
No,
off.
go ahead.
I don't see it as you portraying a perfect life, because you still talk about issues. You talk about things that are going on in your life. So I never really thought of it as
Yeah.
you having that ideal life.
That's the thing, because you, I think, take the time to read. Also, not a lot of people. If you, say, for example, again, you see, and we've done this, right? We go to an account, we don't know who this person is. Sometimes we're following, we're not following, and we just see the photo.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
even read the caption immediately. So I just, I don't know if I should apologize, but I like to take polished photos.
Yeah.
And so because it's very
Yeah,
much
I think for people there's a disconnect. They see this like image that's so like curated and like perfect and artistic.
yeah.
But then they'll read the content, if they do read the content, and they'll be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? Like, you're fine. Like, what are you complaining about? You have
Yeah.
this perfect life
Yeah.
and
That's the
everything
thing.
going for you."
And that's the thing that I feel like people don't, I mean, never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
I don't personally, like I said, I look at my social platforms as my outlet, but also as something like a photo gallery. I like to look back at the moments. And
Yeah.
if you're making a photo album, I'm sorry, I've looked at my mom's old photo albums of us growing up as kids, and and all of the pictures are, smiling, playing around,
Yeah.
traveling. I don't see any ugly photos
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah,
that's,
no, I don't
No.
think like unless it's a part of like an art installation or something, you're not gonna post the unhappy moments of your
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
Exactly.
Like just like you said, go look at any photo album that's there in your home. It shows all the highlights, all the fun lights,
Yeah.
adventures,
memories,
happy
yeah.
memories.
Exactly.
So-
And I feel like something that I would like people to take into consideration if you're listening to this is social media is literally the 1% of someone's life.
Yeah.
For example,
Yeah.
let's be honest. If I go on your platform, Shehlaa, if I go to check your account and if I check Hassan's account, I wouldn't actually. You guys, both of you are so much more from your pages than from your lives than you are on your pages.
Yeah.
And so that is what I want people to know. When you're seeing someone on a social platform, it's
Yeah.
literally a specific percentage of their lives that they're
Yeah.
showing you. I don't want to share my entire life on social media.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think anyone should. There should always be something that is kept for you. So always keep in mind that you can't just throw judgment out there because you don't know where the person is coming from. You don't know what goes on behind the photos, behind the
Yeah.
captions, behind the stories. If they just want to have fun, let them have fun. Let them do what they want. But that's something that I feel cyberbullying has happened to me and friends of mine as well.
I feel like breaking it down, I think people usually get stronger and they get that sense of, okay, I'm behind a screen. I get that strength that nobody will know who I am, or not even know who I am, but like, I don't know where they get that strength from.
Yeah.
Or
It's
that
kind of
power.
like, yeah, it's like a protection. Like no one's gonna know who I am. No one's gonna,
Yeah,
so I
so
can
they can
pretty
just-
much write what I
It
want.
is.
What
It
I
is
want.
because, and then most of these accounts are like you sometimes you get you actually question whether or not they're real accounts or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of them sometimes are fake bots.
Oh yeah. One thing I wanted to also tie in to the topic as well, real quick, is cyberbullying. Okay, so think about for me, right? This is happening to me, and I'm in. Well, it doesn't happen on a regular basis, but I'm, I just turned 32 this week.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, happy
We
belated
didn't
birthday.
say it.
Yeah.
Hi, happy birthday.
Thank you. So I'm in my 30s. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm in my 30s, and this is something that happens.
Yeah.
Imagine what's happening to people in school, kids.
Yeah.
I've experienced some of the kids in our family, and I've seen cyberbullying go on.
Yeah.
And kids these days have access to
Social media.
social media,
Yeah.
especially like TikTok and
Yeah.
these things. And I actually see what goes on these platforms. I don't know how, and I wish I knew how this started, but kids are, I mean, remember when we were kids, like kids are cruel growing up because
Yeah.
we don't know any better.
Yeah.
Now think of that multiplied across the world. You
Yeah.
can actually
Yeah.
have cyberbullying go on everywhere. So
Like, sorry,
Sorry.
the way I'm thinking about it is when we were kids, okay, the only way, or not the only way, but one of the ways that we used to get bullied was someone would leave a note in your locker or in your notebook or on your desk, And so now,
Oh, that
instead
sounds super timid compared to what I
no,
went through.
I'm just going with
Yeah,
like
an
the basics.
an example. Yeah.
But now that is exactly how it is, but electronically. So now
Yeah.
they'll leave you a mean comment on Facebook, on Instagram, on
And
TikTok.
even if it's not, on a social media platform, like I've experienced it, not to me, but when, I play a lot of online video games, and you see it like when you're playing a game and the other players, if it's an online game, other players can comment and speak up and stuff, and you hear the bullying. Sometimes it's not even typed out, it's it's voiced.
Really?
Yeah, and so I can only imagine. Obviously, I'm an adult, so it doesn't really affect me because I know
Yeah.
it's just part of the gaming world.
Community,
But
yeah.
but if it's a young kid that's listening to this, they're minds
It
are
affects
young.
them.
They're still their minds are still malleable and
Yeah.
impressionable.
Yeah.
So you don't know what kind of impact this could be having on them.
Yeah, it's something that I think and I'm glad, by the way, because here in the UAE we do have, thankfully now there are places that you can call and complain about bullying, specifically in school. And there is like a zero tolerance policies in most schools when it comes to cyberbullying specifically.
Yeah.
And I think maybe for those that don't know and are living outside of, I know we have listeners that are outside the UAE as well, but here in the UAE, you can actually get taken to court if you get slandered online, or if
Yeah.
someone calls you names online. Like, for example,
It's the opposite. You mean you can take someone to court?
you can take
if-
someone to
yeah.
court, yes.
Yeah.
So if someone comes on, like, turns up on my page and, just swears at me, I could actually take that person, we can go to court and I could basically sue the person or whatever. And here, again, the thing is with the UAE, it's, again, a zero tolerance policy on cyberbullying, no matter the age. But if you know anyone that you think close to you is going through it, or if you're going through it alone, do research, go online. It's very accessible and you can find hotlines across, and that could help you if you're going through this kind of thing.
And just to play devil's advocate, though, what's the difference, or how would you categorize the difference between criticism and bullying? There is obviously a difference. I'm not
For
being
me,
clueless, but I wanted to ask you guys.
For me, how I would describe criticism and then bullying is that, let's say there's some, I don't know, give me an example of some sort of characteristic. You don't...
Oh, I don't like your fashion sense,
Okay,
for
yeah.
example.
Criticism, I feel like, would be a one-time thing. Hey, by the way, maybe dress like this or maybe dress like that. Worded nicely. Whereas
Right.
bullying will be a constant, you dress horribly, you don't have any fashion sense, nagging, and like bringing that
Berating
person,
and,
and
like,
bringing that person
okay.
down and
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
like bombarding them with all of this
Yeah.
negativity.
Yeah, I would say, like, I personally have gotten both. So I have gotten constructive criticism whereby I get people very nice, very, I would assume very nice, but
Yeah.
basically just telling me, I would say, telling me something that I may be doing wrong in a very nice way. It was like, maybe instead of this, you could do. And then it always follows like a suggestion. That's what I
Right.
find a criticism or constructive criticism
Yeah.
is someone telling you and then giving you a solution or an alternative.
Yeah.
But when it comes to bullying,
Yeah.
it's like I said,
Purely
it's
negative.
purely negative.
Exactly.
As in, you're stupid. Or
And do you
you're
think
Yeah.
people have the right to criticize?
That's
Depends
also,
on
it
who
depends
you are.
exactly. If you're like, for example, for me, my audience are lots of people that I've never met
Yeah.
in my life. So, and it depends on what the topic is, right? So if it's something very personal to me, say if I was talking about something about, I don't know, how I handle friendships or how I handle my family or how
Yeah.
I handle, if I'm doing that, if it's coming from someone I don't know and that doesn't know my story 100%, I would take it with a grain of salt, but I'd still listen. But then if it's someone that, if it's a topic that's something that I'm still learning about, say, I don't know, if it's like, for example, like faith, right? It's a journey that is very personal, but it's
Yeah.
something that we're all learning. And if someone
Yeah.
someone tries to educate me about something, okay, I'll take it because I feel like we're all learning from each other.
Yeah.
But to going back to your question, I do think people have the right to constructive criticism and give that out, but it's up to the end user or yourself how much you want to take that on.
Another side of what you were just saying actually is, I think not everyone has the right, but what I mean is that some people that, like, let's say you've never met and has, I would say, little experience to what you are discussing, let's say the faith, okay, or
Let's say like
another
closer,
example,
like motherhood, for
exactly,
example.
someone coming to you and
Or
constantly,
parenting in general.
criticizing you and telling you, no, you should be doing it like this, or no, you should be doing it like that. You don't know how that person is experiencing
True.
it. You don't know you haven't walked in their shoes, as they say.
Yeah.
So you don't really know how they can take it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like not everyone can criticize.
Yeah.
I will take criticism from a close friend,
Yeah.
from someone who I know is going
Trust,
through
yeah.
the same journey as I am. Someone like, for example, let's say a mother,
Yeah.
going back to that example, who's also has a baby around the same time that I had my baby,
Yeah.
who deals in the same kind of community,
Yeah.
and in the same kind of country, or you
Yeah.
know what I mean? That person, yes, I will take that criticism. But when someone comes to me who's not a parent and who hasn't had any experience in this field, and then
Yeah.
will tell me, "Oh, you're doing it all wrong," or "You look at how you're." I'm just gonna go out there and be like, "Oh, you're carrying your child all
Yeah.
wrong," or "Oh my God, you're causing reflex like this," or
I
whatever.
can imagine how
Yeah.
that would make you feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, okay, you have no experience.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where it varies.
In my opinion, I think when it comes to criticism, I think first of all, it depends on whether you are willing to take it or whether you asked for it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, if you are, let's say, putting a tutorial up online, and let's say you're giving incorrect information, then I think people have the right to correct you and offer their thoughts. Because you could be spreading misinformation.
Yeah.
That's right.
But if it's something personal, like let's go back to the fashion sense.
Yeah.
If I post a picture of me dressed in an outfit, not that that's what I do, but if
Yeah.
I did, let's say, and someone says, "Oh, that color doesn't suit you," or "Oh, whatever," even if what they're saying is true, it's what I wear is my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I personally didn't ask anyone to
Yeah.
comment
Give
on
me
it.
your opinion.
At the same time, if I'm putting myself out there, I question myself whether does that give people the right to criticize or not. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Again, yeah, exactly. When you post something like that, and people do come and criticize you, you can choose. You have to be ready to choose to
Whether
block
to
that
accept it,
or
yeah.
accept it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
There
And
are
I think
some-
as a sorry
Yeah.
to cut you off, but as a user, so like I've said before on the podcast, I'm more of a consumer of social media rather than a participant. So I don't really post much. I'm more on the receiving end of things. It takes a lot of energy for me to look at something, have such a strong opinion that I'm gonna comment about it.
Yeah.
So the fact that people are out there doing this and posting negative stuff
On the regular.
Yeah.
on the regular, I think number one, it's probably out of boredom. Number two, they're probably don't know any other way to get their opinion out there.
Yeah.
So I think if you are someone who comments a lot on posts, reflect on why you're doing it and what you're saying more importantly, because first of all, even if you're anonymous, what you say has a lasting impact on people.
Oh, yeah. Words stay with you until,
Yeah.
like, for some people
Yeah.
for their entire
And if
lives.
you're not anonymous and you're putting your thoughts out there, things stay on the internet forever. So be very careful
Yeah.
about what you say.
And like what Saleh was just saying, words do stay in your mind for a long time. I'm
Yeah.
one of those
Even
people
if they're
that,
from a stranger.
from a stranger, from a close person. I'm very much that kind of person that once you say something to me, that is going to be in the back of my mind
Yeah.
for a really long time. And so it does affect, like, I am one who experienced that even in school. I
Yeah.
experienced someone, like, where they would tell me, go back to, oh, you're not religious enough, or, oh, the way you wear the hijab isn't the right way, or, oh, it's not the preferred way. And I'm like, okay, but then this is who I am, and this is how I choose to wear it.
Yeah.
And so it does stay in my head. Like, till now, let's say I wore exactly that. I've had it happen to me where I would wear a hijab in a certain way, and someone would tell me, oh, that doesn't suit you at all. And like, I got like extremely criticized. So I don't
Yeah.
want to say bullying, because there's many more different examples of bullying that
Yeah.
I can share and that are more extreme. But then this hijab example, till now, if ever I wrap it that way, I think I go back to exactly that person saying and their words, and, oh, it doesn't suit me. Oh, it makes me look my face look fatter. It makes me look, you know. So it's still there till this age, and I'm like 25 years old now.
If you're comfortable, would you mind sharing some examples that were more harsh? Because I think a lot of, especially those who wear hijab in Western culture, might be able to relate to that. And I think it might help
no,
some
I don't
people.
mind sharing at all. One story that I really remember is, and till this day affects me, is we had twins in my elementary school, and they were very much the bully, racist type. And even their parents, even though they lived in our neighborhood, and the entire street was Arabs and Muslims and all these different cultures. And yet they were very racist.
And they weren't, I would assume. They weren't Middle Eastern.
No,
or
they were
Arab
English.
Okay.
No, they were Western. And so I got bullied throughout my elementary grades because I did wear the hijab, and I did wear it not very early, but I did wear it at around the age of 9. 8 or 9, I think.
Yeah.
And so at the time I was also wearing glasses, and so I was getting bullied by these two twins a lot. And I went to, and I told my parents, I told the principal, and my school did they did care about bullying, you know, but one time we were coming home, and then one of the twins, we got off the bus, we were walking to our house, we lived on the same street. I was walking to my house, and then I don't remember what they said to me, and one of them picked up a snowball and then threw it at me. With the snow, there was a piece of ice, and so it actually went onto my glasses, broke my glasses, and then hurt my eye. And when my parents found out, they did go, first of all, to the principal and tell them, and then they also went to the parents. I remember my dad, when he found out, he found out that one of the boys, I had actually lifted up the snowball and threw it at me. He went to the dad, and he knocked on the door. I still remember this image. And he was like, by the way, your kid did this and this. Of course, the parent didn't care. And the principal did sit down and try to talk it out, but whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do. Within a year or two, I went off to a different school. They went off to a different school, and I never saw them again. It did affect me, and I would try to stay away from them as much as possible. But there's only so much you can do. My parents did what they can, and so did the principal. But again,
and do you feel that, did that make you feel insecure about your hijab at the time?
It did. It did.
Because,
and then
did you feel that was the reason they were bullying you? Or you knew for a fact it was?
I knew for a fact that they were always bullying me for that, or for who I am, or for how I dressed.
Yeah.
But I tried not to let it get to me. And I would say that because I was surrounded by a community of Muslims and Arabs, that I didn't feel that alone. But sometimes
because you had people who had
you could relate
to.
something in common with.
Easily, I would, instead of during lunch break, I would go to stay with the other kids that are more like me, instead of the Western kids. So I did have some sort of support system, I would say.
But I think it's a shame that it made you feel like you couldn't integrate with others, and you had to stick to, people who are more like you. And I think that's one of the damaging things that
happens, I think, across the world.
It is. And even looking at it now, even during my high school years, I did tend to go with the people that were more like me.
Yeah. So it probably carried with you.
Yeah. And even though there was a lot of girls in my high school that were nice, I never really mixed with them enough to actually become good friends.
Yeah.
I knew them. I spoke to them on during class, but never ever did I hang out with them.
And do you think it was because there was in the back of your mind this thing that they might not accept me?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And I'm not like them, so what do I have in common with them?
Yeah.
Right.
That was always in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Even though we grew up in the same city, we go to the similar areas, you know, we grew up on the same streets, but never ever did I really think, okay, wait a minute, I can interact with other people, because again, what do they have similar to me? Whereas the Muslims, they were actually
You automatically felt discomfort
yes,
level, right?
and I didn't have to hide anything about myself.
Right.
For when it came to my high school, there's two short stories I wanted to share that kind of stayed with me. One thing is that so I went to an all boys high school. So if you
Okay.
think that only girls can be catty, no, boys can be worse. But basically, when I was growing up, I was very much an overweight kid. I was having a lot of weight issues. I wasn't exercising. I was, I think, very much going through quite a few things, which we can definitely talk about in future episodes. But one of the things where I remember some kid just threw it at me, whereby we were just, I don't know, we were supposed to organize like a school activity, and everyone, and I was so excited because in this school activity, because we wore uniforms, and so in the school activity we get to wear whatever it is that we want.
Okay.
And I basically till today, actually, I am not the type to go for anything that has brands, to be very honest. I'm not, and Hassan knows this, I'm not a brand fan. And
You're not into labels? you
Not
mean?
into labels at all. If a shirt looks good, if a jeans look good, I don't care. I don't need,
Yeah.
even a lot of people were upset at me over my birthday because people asked me what did I want, and I told them I didn't need anything. They were like,
Yeah.
no, we're asking you what do you want, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't need anything. So
we
I'm
were
just,
one of those
yeah,
people.
I'm just, that's the type of person that I am. So when I went to that day of the activity, I bought my clothes from a store that I used to buy from a lot back then. I've changed stores now, but it basically I didn't know this as a kid, but it was known as like a budget store.
Okay.
But I just liked the fashion. I think I liked the way the clothes looked, and I just felt like it fit me. And to be honest, being an overweight kid, I felt very secured in that type of clothing. It was a bit baggy. And so as soon as I went to school, immediately I remember one of the kids saying like, where did you get that from? And so I said the brand name, and the kid started laughing, and then like literally telling everyone around him where I got it from. And basically I became kind of like the laughing stock of the room
joke.
Right.
by saying that I guess they can't afford labels, and that they can only afford this type of brand, and it's ridiculous and stuff like that. It wasn't necessarily the fashion, but the name. And then I remember from then on, as a kid, I would be very self-conscious. I would actually start skipping all the school activities. I wouldn't want to go out. It took me a while actually to be comfortable, to just hang out with people. I felt very much less than. And I remember I even got into some arguments at home, asking, for things that I didn't want, because as a kid, you rebel. So I started like asking for branded stuff just so that I can prove to fit in.
Yeah.
And so that was something that affected me. And alhamdulillah, like I got over that after high school, but it's something that I experienced myself. And then the other thing is something that I experienced, which carried on for a very long time in my 20s as well, was the fact of bullying through friends or people that you think are close to you, I would say.
Like frenemies, kind of?
I
even closer.
Yeah, I've had a lot of friends in high school. I mean, I would say close friends, acquaintances, and stuff like that. But basically, what happened was, I remember I had a close friend, and it was actually on our graduation day. So if you think about it and put yourself in my shoes, you have someone that you've trusted most of your high school life.
Yeah.
You opened up your life to them, your world to them. You welcomed them into your home. They welcomed you into their homes, etc. And imagine, on our graduation day, I had found out, or I had discovered on my own, that this particular friend would actually spend the entire final year of our school year, our high school, basically transferring every information that I ever told him
Oh my
to
God.
the entire class.
Wow.
Every secret, and I found all of these back then.
Yeah.
How traumatic.
Yeah, and as a 17-year-old, that really affected me because I had trust issues that
Yeah.
lasted my entire 20s. And what that happened was, it was kind of like a weird, I would say, emotional manipulation or bullying,
Yeah.
whereby I didn't get close. So this is a reason which maybe not a lot of people know, but I actually had no close friends in university. So I went to university obviously that same year. After
Yeah.
the summer, I had went to the UK, and Hassan knows this. And for all the 4 years that I spent in the UK,
Aw.
I did not get close to anyone, and I think it's mainly because I felt that betrayal.
Yeah.
So I had people I knew there, I had
Yeah.
acquaintances, but
But
I
not
never
close
let.
friends.
Yeah, and
I
even
don't blame
after,
you, honestly.
and even after I
Yeah.
came back, Hafsan, if you remember, I never got close to anyone. It took me a few
Yeah,
years.
yeah, I remember
think
that.
because if I was 17, I think till I was about 24. Actually,
wow.
yeah, 24 or 25. So a good 7 years later,
Yeah.
did I finally get able to
Form
make
close
friends.
friendships, yeah.
I'm sorry, but last time Hassan was talking also about that close friend who started stealing, and then now,
Yes.
what childhood did you guys have?
No, I was actually gonna jump in and say similar to you, Saleh. When I remember as far back as grade 4, I had just come to this new school, and one of the first things that this kid says to me is like, "Oh, what brand is your na'al?" Which for those who don't speak Arabic, that's
The slippers?
sandals.
Yeah.
And I kind of even remember what I said, or I even said I don't know. Can you imagine in grade 4? And so like even at that young age, like
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, oh, does that mean like brands matter? And like
Yeah.
it really messes with you.
It
Yeah.
does messes you up.
And then you end up, going to your parents and asking them, and you don't know what financial situation your parents are in
Yeah.
as a kid.
Yeah.
You don't know whether they can afford that or not. And even
Yeah.
if they could, it's you as a parent, you want to give your kid everything
Yeah.
that they want, but and I think as a kid, the reason that messes with you is because then you place so much importance on these materialistic things just to fit in.
But then, see, this is why I love Canada, though, because I never, going specifically into the brand subject, growing up, okay, I'm talking about before, like grade 12 and below.
Yeah.
We never really cared about brands. I don't know if
Yeah,
it was
and nor
just
should
me.
you. I think it's a normal thing for children not
But
to care
yeah,
about
we
brands.
never really cared about
Yeah.
what clothes we wore. And mind you, our schools were all public schools.
Yeah.
And so we can wear technically whatever we want. I don't know how schools are now.
Yeah.
But back then, we were able to wear whatever we want, and nobody really cared
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you were wearing. Nobody really cared if you're carrying the latest bag or wearing
Yeah.
the latest shoes or anything of that sort. After high school, yeah, you start learning about brands and everything, but even brands for us were just like, oh, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
we never ever discussed it.
Yeah.
So I feel like only did I come here, when I came here, did I actually start seeing, oh, brands matter, or oh, this. And I've had, even here, I've had, growing up as an adult and then coming here as an adult, I experienced somewhat of
Of that
bullying
pressure,
or that
yeah.
pressure, exactly,
Yeah,
just
to fit in.
to fit in, to wear the latest brands, to wear the latest clothes. And I'm just like, but does it even matter?
And you know who wins in the end? It's the people who don't care about
I
brands
swear
and
to
who
God,
are
yes.
saving money and investing it in things that matter.
I feel like if there's sometimes I actually tell myself and when you just kind of stay up at night or sorry you guys, if you can stay up at night, but basically you're just kind of reflecting. There's
Yeah.
something that till today I think about is I wish I could go back. So I'm gonna talk to myself right now. I'm gonna give a message that I wish I could have given myself as a teenager, and I
Yeah.
hope whoever you are and whatever age you are, you're listening to this. But I just wish I could go back in time and tell myself that you are fine and you are amazing, literally just the way you are.
Yeah.
Like
I'd
honestly,
like to second that.
yeah. Thank you. My past self thanks you in the future. But basically, I had so I was obviously bullied, like you guys know. I just said I was bullied weight wise, I was bullied financially, I was bullied looks wise, I was
Yeah.
bullied ethnicity, if that even makes sense, because I'm a hybrid kid as well.
Yeah.
My parents are from different backgrounds, so I was bullied for that.
Racially, yeah.
For racially, I was I was bullied for not being we spoke about this in previous episodes where it comes for the language barriers.
Yeah.
Are you too Arab, or are you not enough Arab, whatever. But basically what I just wish is doesn't really matter, because
Yeah.
honestly the only opinions that matter are from the people that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I took so long to get there, so I just wish whoever's listening is that you shouldn't let anyone depict how you should live your life,
Yeah.
how you should feel about yourself. I know sometimes you could go into those dark moments, because I myself have
Yeah.
gone into many dark moments in high school, moments where honestly I thought that this was my last day on this
Yeah.
planet. And obviously because everything is so exaggerated when you're younger, but sometimes it is very true, and we've seen it
Yeah.
happen in the
Yeah.
news. So you are amazing just the way you are. You're perfect. You're perfectly imperfect, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And there's a reason why God put you on this earth, and it's because there are people out there that love you. And if you don't think anyone does, the three of us do. So
I would like to add to what you just said, Saleh, is when you were saying that you, like the people who love you is who matters, I would also like to add that know who those people are, because I've also experienced that in a way where I would have a new friend, and first off, they would sound, amazing, and then they slowly start to bully me subconsciously, I would like to say, because it wasn't like something
It
that
wasn't
was
so direct.
it wasn't so direct, but it slowly started to eat up in my head. And then I didn't realize how negative of an impact this person was having on my life until I took a step back. And then I was like, oh, wait, this person isn't. But again, this is like, I'm talking childhood, and like,
yeah.
I would like to go back to that person also who I was back then and be like, you know what? Look at who really matters,
Yeah.
and only care about you and them,
Yeah.
and that is it. Because at the end of the day, those are the people that are going to stay with you
Yeah.
forever.
And I think one thing Hassan keeps on saying, which is fitting in. I think that's
Yeah.
the most boring thing you could ever do.
Yeah,
Because
first of all,
everyone wants who wants to be normal. I don't understand.
it's not just that. First of all, perfection is an illusion.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist, and it's a waste of time to try and attain it.
Yeah.
And just going quickly back to what we said before about words matter. So in high school, I was, and even before high school, I was subject to physical bullying. So
Really?
I was beat up and stuff. But although, of course, that affected me at the time, long term, it's actually the things that were said to me, the words that had a lasting impact,
Yeah.
rather than the physical pain and,
I
and
think-
the
I think
and
that-
the aggression.
I think that's very true. Is, again, we never really realize how strong our words are until we are put in that situation.
Yeah.
And until then, do you realize, even sometimes something as simple as, "Oh, you're so silly," or "Oh, you're so lame," even those words
Yeah.
have an impact. If they are said regularly, they can also bring down a person.
Yeah.
And
So think about what you say before you say it.
Yeah.
Sometimes even if you're joking with a friend,
yeah,
to you it might be a joke. To them, it might be hurting them. So just be
Yeah.
mindful about what you say.
And to those who are listening, if anyone ever feels the need to share or to speak up, or you can always message us, you can always email us. Don't feel like you are alone. We are always here to listen. And again, like we've always said, is we want this to be a two-way street.
Yeah. And I think also before even us, more importantly, talk to those that are around you. Talk
Definitely.
to those that you love, and that love you back. Because put yourself in that situation. If someone that you love is hurting, you would want to be there for them, and you would want to help them. So
Yeah.
trust us when we say the opposite is true. So your family, your friends, your loved ones care about you and want the best for you.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to share your stories with them.
So I feel that this is quite a broad topic that we could go into different, like I said, different directions and different types of bullying. But I think what we all try to share here is just personally open our hearts to you guys and let you know some of the struggles that we've been through. And if anything is a testament to those who are experiencing it, we can be that testament to show you that yes, it did affect us, yes, it did hurt us, but here we are stronger. And by talking about it and by making it a conversation, we're raising awareness. Like Shehlaa said, if there's anyone out there that needs to have a listening ear, we're here for you guys. But do open up to those who love you, or vice versa. Check in on those who you feel are getting bullied, because it could go a long way. Sometimes we wish we had people like that around for us. At this time, that's really helpful. But thank you guys for listening. I think we really had fun on this topic. And it's a two-way street. So if you ever want to let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, there's a few ways you can reach out to us. So you can either email us, which our email is letsallscream.podcast@gmail.com, or reach us on Instagram and Facebook at Let's All Scream.
Yeah, take care, guys, and thank you for listening in. Bye.
We'll speak to you soon.
Until next time, bye.